Hiya, this is Nitty Rock Chick with my Wrestlemania 26 review after a cup of coffee and a couple of cigarettes. Right, I was totally hyper at the start of this, I genuinely admit that. I even clapped the singing of America the Beautiful, which is bizarre. First match was for the Unified Tag Team Championships, which was Sheamus versus Jomo and Truth. This was ridiculously short. Maybe 1.5 stars, if that. It was just way too short. They could have cut out just 10 minutes of random chat junk and actually given this match a reasonable amount of time, and it would have been so much better. It was a real downer for the start of the show, to be honest. I was just like, no, that's crap. Sheamus won. Big Show knocked out R.Truth. Second match was Orton versus DiBiase and Cody Rhodes. Started off pretty much as a 2-on-1, which is what we expected. Then they started arguing over who was going to get the pin. They had a bit of a scuffle between Ted and Cody, which was reasonably predictable. Orton gave punt to Cody Rhodes, which was cool, and then RKO'd Ted DiBiase and pinned Ted DiBiase. This wasn't bad. 2.5, 3 stars. Still very short and very much what we were expecting. Money in the Bank. This was a very average Money in the Bank, in my opinion. It was alright. Couple of nice spots. Quite a nice bit where they got the ladders either side. They got Swagger caught in the centre of the ladder, and Christian one side whacking a ladder into him, and Matt Hardy from the other side whacking a ladder into him, and that was quite good. That was quite a nice little spot. And there are a couple of nice little spots with the ladders, which you'd expect from a Money in the Bank. But generally, it was very average for a Money in the Bank. I must admit, by this point, I was kind of thinking, oh my god, why did I pay the $55 for this pay-per-view? It was very average. Triple H versus Sheamus. The overwhelming thing about this match was the sheer fact that there was only maybe twice where you actively heard the crowd really booing for Sheamus. The rest of the time, they just did not care at all. Unless Triple H actually looked like he was going to beat Sheamus, and then the crowd perked up for a bit, and the second Sheamus got hit again, they were like, and the entire match went like that. It was just, the crowd was just like, oh god, do we have to watch Sheamus win? It was an alright match, probably standard 3-star, nothing wow, but not a bad match really. Triple H won, which I was actually vaguely surprised at. I thought they were going to put Sheamus over. Actually quite surprised that they didn't, but the crowd was definitely very pro Triple H winning, to be fair. CM Punk versus Rey Mysterio. Alright little match, yeah. Probably around the 3-star mark. If you gave it 3.5, then you're probably a Ray fan. It was alright. Ray won, which we also kind of expected, because they weren't going to get rid of their main money spinner. Yeah, it was an alright little match. Nothing wow. But that was kind of the thing with a lot of this pay-per-view. A lot of it was just sort of like, it was alright, or it was just too short, up until this point. And then we kind of had the flip to that, in the Bret versus Vince actually kind of went too long. I think they probably could have cut a good 5 minutes off it, and it still would have had the same effect. it was quite nice. I mean, Brett did the whole turnaround on Vince thing, and the Hart family got some cash out of it, which was quite entertaining. It was alright. It was alright. I quite liked Brett getting his revenge. It was quite good. But it went too long for me. I think they could have taken 5 minutes off of that and put it on either the Orton match or the showmiz match, and it would have been far better use of the time. But I must admit, I did like Brett putting the sharpshooter on Vince. I was cheering sharpshooter. It was good. Edge versus Jericho. Was an alright match. It was sort of 3.5 stars. You can tell that Edge isn't 110% still, because it wasn't as fast paced as it could have been. I think that was my big issue with this, is that, in my opinion, this could have been a 4.5 star match. Because I know these guys are capable of it. But it was... To get rid of my Edge unbiased, I would probably put it 3.5 stars, but I'm an Edge and a Jericho fan. So probably 3 stars. It was a good match. It went reasonably well. There was a nice bit of backwards and forwards. Probably the best part in the entire match happened after the match finished, because Edge speared Jericho through one of the dividing walls. This rivalry is so not over. I actually really like those two against each other, so I've got no problem with that. And I'm actually quite pleased that they left the belt on Jericho, because I really don't like the whole hot-shotting of titles things. So it's quite nice that Jericho's actually getting a reasonable run at this. And surprise, surprise, they threw in a women's match. For a women's match, it was alright. It was kind of like, Diva runs in, does their little spot, Diva buggers off. Diva runs in, does their little spot, Diva buggers off. Because it was 5-5 match. It was like the Glamazon and her team versus Vicki and Vicky's team. To be fair, Vicky's actually starting to look a hell of a lot better, and I always love the fact that Vicki Guerrero actually gets the biggest heel pop on the show, which I find quite funny. I've always quite liked Vicki, because bless her, she gets the biggest heel pop. It's quite funny. Vicki won. I don't know. How do you rate a Divas match? I mean, really? 2 stars for a Divas match? It was alright. It was a little spot festy thing. I actually watched it, which makes a change. I did try and... by the time I'd gone to the toilet, I made a cup of tea. They'd only just finished the entrances, so I ended up watching it anyway. Cena Batista. This was probably a 3.5 star match. It was alright. Cena won, which we kind of knew was coming. Yeah, Cena won with the STF. It was alright, decent amount of backwards and forwards. For a Cena Batista match, it wasn't bad. And the big one, Taker versus HBK, was everything I wanted it to be. It was really, really good. Solid 4-star match. HBK lost. If you've watched the other little clip, it literally just finished and I was still crying. I'm a big HBK fan, and I knew he was going to lose, and 90% of the match I spent with my heart in my throat, because, yeah, nobody liked to see their hero go out. And yes, I know that 9 times out of 10, career-ending match isn't really career-ending because they come back sooner or later, but it was a really good match. It was done really well, and Sean saying thank you to the crowd was just brilliant. And that will be my WrestleMania 20.